The International Space Station, Golden Gate Bridge, the Burj Khalifa, and futuristic 3D printed buildings are the marvels of modern engineering. The desire to build astonishing construction projects is ingrained in humans, all the way back to the Stone Age, and engineers to this day are amazed by some incredible architectural projects that our Neolithic ancestors undertook when there were no excavators, bulldozers, cranes, or designing software. In this video, we are going to dive deep into the world of ancient construction and reveal 6 awe-inspiring projects. Please take a moment to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so that you do not miss any of the intriguing videos we upload every day. So, without much ado, let's get right into it. MohenjoDaro, Pakistan. MohenjoDaro literally means Mound of the Dead Men, but it is not a necropolis like its name suggests. The archaeological site, located in southern Pakistan, is dated back to 2500 BC and has the distinction of being one of the earliest major cities in the world. It is also the largest settlement of the Indus Valley civilization. The ingenuity in its planning is the reason we have to include an entire city in the video. Built on an idea of city planning, MohenjoDaro had about 40,000 occupants at its peak. The city's rectilinear buildings were arranged on a grid plan, and it had carefully laid out sewer and drainage paths. Most buildings were built with fired or mortared bricks, while some of them had sun-dried mud bricks. About 300 hectares of the city area was covered, and there were wooden superstructures. The city displays a high level of social organization, as apparent in the provisions of public facilities and buildings. The sheer scale of it is awe-inspiring for any modern-day engineer. The city is divided into 2 parts, the Citadel and the Lower City. The Citadel is a mud brick mound around 12 meters high. It had 2 large pillared assembly halls and provision to house 5,000 citizens in its huge residential structure. The intriguing building has 78 rooms, which could have been a priestly residence. Further excavations of MohenjoDaro revealed astonishingly tall wells. Raised platforms were made as a defense against flooding, but the final flooding led to the abandonment of the city in the 19th century BCE. Some other striking features of the city included the Great Granary. The Great Granary is a large building divided into grain storage bays by massive wooden superstructures. The bays were equipped with air ducts to dry the grain. Historians have surmised that grain was brought from the countryside in carts and was unloaded in the bays. The Great Bath. The Great Bath is a large, elaborate public bath that may have been used for ritualistic religious baths. The courtyard had steps leading down to the brick-laid pool. The 12 meters by 7 meters pool is about 2.5 meters deep and was waterproofed by bitumen. Fortifications. MohenjoDaro was fortified with guard towers instead of city walls. These guarded the west of the main settlement, while the southern part of the city had defensive fortifications. The city was not as heavily fortified as other major cities of Indus Valley, which leads archaeologists into believing that it was an administrative center. Water supply and wells. MohenjoDaro had a whopping 700 wells, which are many times more than contemporary civilizations elsewhere in the world. In fact, Indus Valley could be considered the originator of the circular brick well design. Such a high ratio of wells per house indicates that its inhabitants relied solely on annual rainfall for their water needs. Sewage. A centralized drainage system ran alongside the city's roads, which is a feature much ahead of its times. The sewage and human waste were drained into the Indus River through the network. MohenjoDaro also had a central marketplace. Houses of some affluent individuals had separate bathing rooms and underground furnaces, which point towards an ancient heated bathing system. Surely the ancient Egyptians and Mesopotamians had a lot to look up to. The Pyramid of Giza, Egypt. Talk of history, talk of architecture, and the Egyptian pyramids are the first to come to mind. The oldest of the 7 wonders of the world was built in the 26th century BC, using around 2.3 million stones. This awe-inspiring number of building blocks needed logistical ingenuity, while the geometric perfection of this 5.9 million ton magnificent structure took some incredible architectural prowess. Needless to say, it took thousands of workers to make this icon of ancient architecture. The mortar that was used to stick the rocks that held together this behemoth amazes modern archaeologists and scientists alike, since it cannot be replicated to date. The Great Pyramid of Giza is also known as the Pyramid of Khufu, named after the pharaoh Khufu, whose tomb is considered the oldest and largest of the pyramids in the Giza Pyramid Complex. The pyramid took 27 years to complete, and at its initial height of 146.5 meters, the pyramid remained the tallest man-made structure in the world for over 3,800 years. It has a base of 230.3 square meters, which makes its volume 2.6 million cubic meters. The casing of white limestone was weathered over the centuries, reducing the height of the Great Pyramid to 138.5 meters. What we see today is the underlying core structure. The stones for this magnificent pyramid were quarried and floated on boats through the Nile River, while the limestone was extracted from the Giza Plateau. The white limestone for the casing was brought from Tura, which was the primary quarry for limestones in ancient Egypt. Its modern road distance from the pyramid is 27 kilometers. Granites for the pharaoh's chamber structure were hauled from the faraway Aswan in the south, which is about 900 kilometers from the Giza Pyramid Complex. The pyramid has 3 known chambers. The first one is cut in the bedrock and was left unfinished, while one each for the king and the queen are built higher up. The king's chamber contains a granite sarcophagus or a stone coffin. The king's vizier, or the chief minister, named Hammon, is believed to be the architect of the Great Pyramid, which is surrounded by mortuary temples and tombs of the king's immediate family. The Great Sphinx, Egypt. The giant limestone statue with the body of a lion and the head of a human is one of the most recognizable icons of the world. What is more impressive about the statue of the mythical creature Sphinx is that the whole thing was carved out from the bedrock in Giza Plateau. The architectural marvel measures 73 meters in length and 120 meters in length, which makes it the largest single stone structure in the world. The purpose of making the incredible piece of architecture remains a mystery, but the face of the reclining creature resembles that of Pharaoh Khafre. Standing on the Giza Plateau, near the Nile, the statue faces the east. It is estimated to be created during the Old Kingdom of Egypt in the 25th century BC. The weathering and damage have been undone to some extent through restoration work, but the nose of the monolith remains conspicuously broken. Gobekli Tepe. The Gobekli Tepe is considered to be the world's first temple, and it is dated back to 10,000 BC. Situated near the Anatolia region of Turkey, this site is characterized by large circular structures, at least 20 of them, containing about 200 pillars surrounded by walls. Some construction pillars have an elaborate T-shape and weigh over 60 tons, which has stunned archaeologists over the complexity of projects that primitive humans could undertake. Just to get a perspective, it was the pre-pottery Neolithic age. And if the pillars were not enough amazement, this site also has rock statues having carvings of animals like ducks, boars, snakes, foxes, and cranes. The world's oldest megalith is built on an artificial mound or tell that spreads over an area of 8 hectares and rises 15 meters from the ground. Archaeologists couldn't find a source of water, which has made them conclude that the place was not an agricultural settlement. It was a sanctuary for hunter-gatherer nomads. The mound also includes quarries, stone-cut cisterns, and smaller buildings that are rectangular in shape. Many pillars of Gobekli Tepe have ornate decorations of abstract primitive art. It depicts anthropomorphic features like clothing that give precious insights into prehistoric religion. As of 2021, less than 5% of Gobekli Tepe has been excavated, and it gives butterflies in the stomach to think about what else is waiting to be uncovered from one of the first known man-made architectures. Nap of Hawar. Nap of Hawar is a Neolithic farmstead on the island of Papa Westray in Scotland. It is estimated to have been occupied between 3700 BC and 2800 BC, which makes it the oldest preserved stone house in northern Europe. The farmstead consists of 2 thick-walled rectangular buildings with rounded corners made of split stones. They are just about 5 feet tall and have sea-facing doorways. The buildings are connected by a passage that has a hole in the roof, which means it might have been heated by fire. The stone furniture present in the houses is ample proof that this was once a lively ancient residence. There are partition screens, storage shelves, beds, and fireplaces, all almost intact. The seashore acted as the source of the stones that were used as construction material. Tumulus of Bougon. This is another ancient mound, like Gobekli Tepe, but one with steps. Located near the river Bougon in Nouvelle-Aquitaine, France, the limestone plateau has a rectangular chamber and a series of passages. The most intriguing part of the monument is the chamber walls, which are formed by upright stones or orthostats that are shaped like humans. The main chamber is covered by a 90-ton capstone, while monolithic pillars divide the room into smaller subsections. At the time of its discovery, Tumulus was filled with vertical layers of skeletons, along with lots of pottery. This helped archaeologists realize two things. 1, it was a necropolis. 2, it was quite an impressive architecture for its time. Dated 4700 BC, the group of 5 Neolithic barrows were discovered in 1840 and have since then raised scientific interest all around the world. If you enjoyed this video, we have another like it of the 10 most mysterious places scientists still can't explain that I'm sure you'll enjoy as well.